Hello and good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Jim, and today I'm going to be going over with you AI for agency marketing operations. This is a special topic for me, especially because I talk to about a dozen or so agencies every week, and this is something that comes up a lot, but isn't talked about so much. There's a lot of content that's already created around how to use AI for marketing purposes or sales or perhaps even SEO, but not a whole lot actually goes into talking about how to use AI for day-to-day operations, specifically for marketing agencies. A special thanks to Sean Barber for this opportunity to allow me to share this with you. So why don't we just get right into it, and hopefully this is something that's going to help you guys out. So first off, a little bit about me and who I am. If you don't know me, my name is Jim Liu. I'm the CEO of SEO Vendor. I have been a patented inventor, especially in AI technology. I have also been an SMX presenter. I also have patents from way back as well before SEO Vendor, and also have several patent pending technologies that are under my name now that has to do with AI. I have a total of over 20 years of experience with marketing operations. Currently, I'm leading this company, SEO Vendor, which is a white label SEO agency, and we have about 30,000 partners worldwide that's utilizing our services. We have a particular software stack called Core AI that's utilized by over 500,000 people worldwide. Core AI is actually fundamental to our operations because it powers both the front end and the back end of over 10,000 campaigns. We run it across 32 what we call data sinks, or basically these are operational agents, and it helps to automate a number of SEO and agency processes. In total, we've invested over $1.2 million into our operations and tools. So one of the questions is, what does AI mean for your ops? Because we did a survey, and from the agencies that we have surveyed, which was, I think, around 150 agencies, there's only 0.1% that really knew about AI operations. Most agencies that we spoke to are either completely lost or they don't know what to do with AI when it comes to operations. However, 92% of them also said that they want AI as part of their operations. The vast majority of agencies that we talk to actually understand that AI is going to be a very big part of their future and are just trying to figure out what to do about it. So today, we have agencies that basically, when we talk to them, they tell us about how there's rising costs, how there's more pressure now than ever coming from their clients, and some of them are perhaps even in different states of distress, I would say. But AI, as it's coming along, it's also transforming our industry as a whole, and I would also say as a society as a whole as well. So this is what we figured out. What agencies want are increased productivity, helping them become more efficient, reduce costs as costs are rising, and help to streamline their processes, which it also means that sometimes they have to come up with the processes if they don't already have them in place. But here's what agencies also fear or not sure about when it comes to AI. Is it going to add additional chaos? Perhaps they already have a stable process right now, but AI can come in and actually make things worse. Is AI reliable? There's a reliability factor when it comes to operations because you want consistency, you want things to work out, and not really sure if AI is going to actually do a better job. The other thing is it has to do with cost, is that it can potentially end up costing more. Is investing in AI, whether it be the resources or the manpower that's required for the expertise to develop what's necessary to have AI inside operations, is going to actually end up costing more than it does now. So this is what we're faced with, and then we're going to take a look at what to do about this. So before we get too far into it, I want to point out there is a difference between AI and automation. And what I mean by this is that AI is actually what a lot of people these days refer to in terms of a large language model. That is a particular system that you're prompting it, or you are able to send data to it, and it's giving you a specific knowledge or a specific pattern as its return or as its result. There's also SLMs, which is small language models. These are a lot more custom, and sometimes they are built for specialty purposes. Like, for example, our Core AI is based on a SLM model that came prior to these large language models taking off. Both of them are based on what we call neural networks, which operate a lot like the neurons in our brain. Utilizing these systems basically means that you're you're using AI to a certain extent, whether in pattern recognition or perhaps within the operations, you're using it to perform some type of assessment, which we'll get into later. But this is actually part of a much larger framework of automation, which is chances are, if you're looking to do something with AI today, you're trying to automate. But we have to understand that automation alone doesn't necessarily mean that you need AI. It could just mean that you need something that is more automatic. These could be rules-based operations. So for example, you could program something to do a specific set of tasks, but you may not necessarily need AI for that. And these could be, for example, these could be based on conditions. You have certain conditions and you can figure out what all the variables are. You can figure out what is the procedure. If you already have a process in place, then it can follow that process step by step. If there are repetitive environments where things happen again and again, and you can have it repeat those steps. If you don't already have a process in place, then you can document that process, what that's like in the perfect case. And what you can do is you can then figure out what pieces of it, or perhaps the entire process, you can automate the entire thing. And then where LLMs kind of and also SLMs kind of come into play is you need AI because you need it to do a specific part of the automation that just cannot be done by rules, or perhaps it's too difficult to do by rules. If you have something that, say, requires 100 different conditions in order for you to satisfy what you needed to do, unless you want to write out all 100 different conditions, perhaps an LLM and SLM might be a faster way to identify it, more so based on a pattern or a specific way of recognizing what it is that you want it to do. Now, if you have AI and automation, both of them together, then we're actually at the cusp of what I call the dawn of AI agents. Because at the time as we're making this video right now, at the end of 2024, there's already a lot of talk of AI agents and what they're going to be able to do. And a lot of that has to do with taking what's already here with LLMs and then driving that forward with even more automation, even more reasoning. And we'll cover some of that in this presentation as well. But our entire goal should be to turn manual tasks into automation. So one of the things to understand is what are the most used LLMs that are on the market today? And there are both paid and free LLM options. There are open source, closed source. But the main one that is used today that's on the market is OpenAI's ChatGPT. And if we look at Microsoft's Copilot, it's actually also based on the same OpenAI ChatGPT technology. So you have somewhere around 3/4 of the market is basically dominated by ChatGPT technology, essentially. And then the others, they make up 25%, including Gemini and Claude, Anthropic, and a number of others. So one of the things that I hope to help you out today to kind of figure out is what AI is and what is it not. Because there's obviously a lot of talk out there about what AI is or what it should be, but just understand that from a marketing operations standpoint, there are certain things that are going to help you, and then there's others that are not. And so let's kind of address 4 of them here. One is AI is not your friend or your foe. So it's not whether AI is being your friend or whether AI is your enemy. This is more about AI is simply a matter of is it going to help you with your operations? What are the benefits? What are the costs of implementation? And you simply got to just look at AI as a tool. The second thing is AI and LLMs in general, they have limitations. So they are not perfect systems. They're based on probability. They're based on training. That data affects what is going to come out of the LLM and your choice of LLM. And so these systems have to be tested. The third thing is that LLMs are going to have what we call hallucinations. And they may not return everything that is true. As a matter of fact, it may be very difficult for an AI to be able to discern what is true, what is not, because essentially that has to come from you. That has to be decided by the operator, what is true, what is not. And a lot of it is also based on the training data, or what is it being augmented with. Imagine this, if you're using AI for, let's say, some type of role-playing fantasy game, the results you want are going to be something that's very specific towards that. And you don't need, say, a set of facts in order to augment what you need to do there. On the other hand, if you're doing a marketing operations and you are wanting the content that is going to return to be as factual or as accurate as possible, then you're going to need to rely on the AI to be able to come up with the right set of information for you. And so there's got to be ways in which you can validate that information. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But the fourth point is that there are also going to be reasoning engines that are going to be coming out. One of the most advanced is GPT-01, which is actually able to then step-by-step think about the things that it's going to return to you before it does. So whereas in AI, sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I know the answer, here it is. AI systems like GPT-01 are going to look at what you asked of it, look at what results it's going to come back with, and then think about it step by step and go through those steps to see, did I double check my answers? Did I validate against certain factors that it thinks are going to be necessary in order to help you to solve the problem? So these factors all help you to understand exactly how an AI can operate or basically help you out then with your operations. Right, the other factor that you have to figure out is AI and automation and what area you're going to have it covered. So I call these entities. And what I mean by this is, so for example, AI and automation can take on an assistant role. Essentially, the goal of this particular set of automations or AI is to help a person or a person in a particular position achieve enhanced efficiency, quality, or speed. Okay? So they're basically going to do things better or faster, or you're going to get improved results because they now have this tech. The other thing is it could be managerial, meaning you're using AI and automation to help manage tasks, set up deadlines, alerts, projects, classifications, sorting, these type of things. And in both of these cases, actually, for example, in our company, we utilize both of these. We have AI that help people in particular roles. We also have AI that are helping on the managerial side, helping managers with their projects so that essentially they have an assistant to help them, to guide them as to what needs to be prioritized. There's also more of a role-based where essentially you have an AI and you're looking at utilizing the AI to completely replace a position. In those type of cases, it could be AI standalone, or perhaps it's a mixture of AI and automation, most likely, or even the introduction of AI agents that can work more on an ad hoc basis based on more general instructions and is able to figure things out entirely for you. Okay, so what are the steps? One of the first things that you have to do is you have to identify areas for operation automation. So what this means is, how do you go about figuring out what is AI good for? And how do you start looking at the pieces within your operations to figure that out? There are 6 here that I've listed out that I think are going to help you in this area. One is detailed, nuanced work. So if, say, you have very specific processes, and you know that they have to go through these 14, 20 steps in order to get this process right, then if it's a person that has to go through that, it's gonna, chances are there could be mistakes in between, and they have to go back and figure that out, or a manager has to do oversight. These are the type of processes that you want to look at automating or utilizing AI for. The other is repetitive sets of actions. So there's something that is, as part of your operations, it keeps getting repeated. For example, you may have to constantly look at tasks that are behind schedule, or perhaps you constantly have to do this set of ABC things in order to get project onboarding started. You can look at how to go about setting that up. So for example, at SEO Vendor, we have something called APS, Automatic Program Start, and which allows a complete automation from the time a campaign is ordered to the initial month 1 that is set up. All of that, we looked at the different pieces of it, and we put that together by first automating small pieces, and then ultimately we automated all the remaining pieces. So something that is like that, that's more of a repetitive set of actions. No matter how complex, you can look at starting from the simple ones and getting to the more complex ones. Mistakes. There are just some things that automation, programmatic methods might actually drive better results for you, just because these are things that are easy for people to make a mistake on. And these are things that actually you don't want people to be concentrating on those things, because it just kind of takes away all their focus from more important, higher priority things. And so those are also areas, if you see a lot of mistakes, a lot of errors in an area, think about whether if there's some way to automate that. Sometimes a mistake could be something as simple as just forgetfulness. It's just something that's so easy to forget at that particular step because they're already thinking about something else. Look at ways to automate that. Processes. So if, say, for example, as we talked about earlier, kind of along the lines of detailed nuance work, but if you have conditions, if you have a process that not necessarily it's just ABC, but it's almost like there's step A, and then depending on what happens in step B, you could end up in D or F or wherever. You could look at how to automate those steps and conditions versus someone having to figure that out or having to then roll through all the training processes. You can look at rolling that training process into a set of conditions, perhaps even programmatically, to be able to figure that out. And then you're just looking at the end result. And then that way, that entire process, if you ever need to change it in the future, you can go back and just modify the steps, and your process, right then and there, it's already updated. You didn't have to like retrain 50 people in order for that process to change. The other thing to kind of look at is, so for example, setting up a particular rule. Like let's say if you're doing, say for us, we're doing SEO analysis, you have to consider over 100, maybe even sometimes 200 different factors. Well, just practically speaking, how's that possible for a person to constantly go through 200 some odd factors for hundreds, sometimes even thousands of projects? It's just, it's just not practical anymore. So you need some way of figuring that out. And one of the ways to figure that out is set a particular threshold for your operations. So for example, if something takes more than 3 or 4 factors, if something has more than 10 factors, then it's time to consider, is there a way to automate that so that those factors could be figured out rather by an AI, which can actually increase your precision rather than having a person constantly having to go through the same 5 or 10 factors each and every time. The other thing to kind of look at that has more to do with perhaps automation is templates. And if you already have templates in your agency, or if you're already working with some level of templating, you know that it's basically fill in the blanks. So if something is just fill in the blanks and you have that data, then it's time to kind of take a look at where that data is coming from. Perhaps you could just put that data into the template without a person having to intervene to do that, and then having it sent out, because those are the type of I would say mind-numbing work that I think you can put your team members to much better use, and they'll be grateful for that as well. So let's talk a little bit about AI operations and how to go about integrating that, because we've gone through now looking at AI and what it is and what it's not. We've also talked about ways of utilizing AI within operations, but how do you actually go about integrating that? So of course you got to look at your needs and your budget, as well as look at how much data you have, and task assessments, or whether what it is that you need the most for as far as using AI for. But here's three basically ways that you can look at how to integrate AI for these operations. The first one is the quickest and easiest, which is tools and platforms. So these are like ChatGPT, but these are also like video tools or picture tools that are AI based, that you can utilize and take advantage of today, and you don't have to worry about updating them or some kind of a maintenance upkeep or whatnot. Basically, you subscribe to the tool. Some of them are free, some of them are paid, and you can look at purchasing those tools and integrating them into daily operations, specifically based on particular roles or particular tasks. You can assign them that way. The second way, which is a little bit more advanced, is to look at the problem programmatically or through an API. So you would need a developer for this, but what's great about this is you can develop your own code in combination with your data, in combination with then an external AI. So you don't have to worry about the training part of the AI or the advancement of the AI, but you can basically use the AI through an API in order to get you the results that you want. And the great thing about this is it's customizable. It's based specifically on your operations, on your data, and you would need a programmer for this that knows how to do this. But essentially, once you have that, it's also considered like an investment into the future of the company's operations. The other thing, number 3, is probably the most difficult, is to look at some type of in-house self-hosted option. So you could be looking at, say, for example, developing your own large language model or even small language model. You can then train those AI based on either open source models, or you can even use paid models, and they have options to train those AI units as well. But you're looking at that point, probably self-hosting. So if it's a closed system, they're probably not going to let you take away their large language model. But if you're going to develop your own from scratch, or if you're going to utilize an open source based one where you can host it, and essentially it's within it's within your properties, and it's not shared with anybody else. It's only used by your company. That is a third option. It's also the most customizable option, where essentially you have an AI that's trained based on just the data that you provided, as likely to be also then the most accurate one towards the needs that you have. There's a simple quote actually here, that is, these are the worst AI tools you'll ever use. I forget who said it, but I wrote it here because AI is changing a lot. It's changing all the time. And so I would expect that, 1 year from this presentation, there's probably going to be a great deal of changes that we haven't even seen yet. So I created this AI operations by ARR just to give you a sense of at what stage your agency is at, and perhaps what you should be looking into. Because a lot of what we discussed, some are possible for, say, only large agencies, whereas others, any agency, no matter what size, should be picking those things up. An investment in AI can get expensive, especially if you have to, say, hire prompt engineers or AI modeling engineers. Those can, you could easily rack up, $500,000 a year just for hiring one of those guys. But things like, for example, a small agency can start looking into right now is AI platforms. Look at ChatGPT, look at other platforms, even Gemini, or perhaps even Anthropic, and just get a sense for which AI do you work with the best, or is the best fit for these types of operations, and be very specific about what operations that you want to have AI help on. And part of it is also having to do with having the right training, so that when, say, for example, when people have certain questions that come up, or perhaps they're wondering, well, should I just Google this, and Google isn't giving me the right answers. Well, perhaps part of the operations is that, okay, let me figure out how the LLM would handle it first, and then use that as part of the process to then improve the efficiency or the speed of providing a response, or, let's say, an analysis. If you're a small to mid-sized company, then you could be looking at not only AI platforms, but start integrating APIs on a more programmatic level. You're going to need it in order to help you to improve the efficiency between tasks, or perhaps between teams, perhaps between operations. And in order to set that up, you can utilize your own data, but you're going to need someone that's going to kind of be a little bit more dedicated on the programming side. Now, of course, you can also outsource that programming to people that are knowledgeable, that are experts in that area. Shouldn't be a problem as well. But if you're a mid-sized agency, your long-term thinking should be not only just about AI integration, but looking at systems as a whole. So how do you develop an entire AI system goes beyond just APIs and programming. It's more about, well, are you going to develop your own in-house AI? Or are you going to look at AI as a particular unique system that you're going to hold in-house, so that people can't take away that technology from you? Or maybe perhaps it's also a matter of risk. Perhaps if you're completely reliant on an AI system that's somewhere else, belongs to another company, you may not be comfortable with them holding on to your data, or every time when the AI is running the back and forth, and you have to channel that data, it may not be something that you want. So you may be looking at an in-house AI solution for that. The other, and we've talked to several of these agencies as well. These are large, 10 million and above agencies. And beyond just in-house AI, you're probably also looking at the leading edge, or you probably should be looking at the leading edge, which is AI agents. And at that point, it's something what I call positional. So if you're one of these large agencies, it's going to be more about, well, how do you position AI within the company? Because it's going to perhaps have larger roles in terms of in teams. Perhaps you are looking at management over a set of AI systems, rather than over a set of necessarily someone that is going to be there in that position to handle that particular role. Perhaps you're looking at AI agents to handle those particular roles. And so you are looking at a much greater deal than just perhaps a particular set of systems. You're now looking at positionally the future of the company, how AI is going to have a larger role in all the different aspects of operations. So the thing that we haven't talked about yet, as we're talking about AI and automation, is, well, what do your people think about it? And here at SEO Vendor, our approach is always going to be a people-first approach. And we hope that as you listen to this presentation and as you hear about different ways in which you can help leverage and utilize AI in your operations, that you're also going to continue to have a people-first approach. And what we mean by this is our mantra is going to be that AI is not here to replace people. AI is here to enhance or to empower people so that they can do extraordinary things that they couldn't do today. And this is very much true when we look at if AI is utilized in the right way, you can have people that are 3 or 4x, even 10x multipliers. Meaning they're much more efficient at what they're doing and they enjoy what they're doing rather than focusing on repetitive tasks or tasks that seem more mundane, that's just going to put them to sleep. They're going to be working on more interesting things, helping the company to find solutions for you. And that's the approach that you want to take with AI is what is it that you're actually looking to automate? What is it that you shouldn't automate first? Because perhaps that is taking the things away that people actually want to focus on those things. So part of this is knowing how to empower and also how to train employees to have the right mindset. If your team members all think that AI is going to replace their jobs, chances are they're probably not going to be able to do a very good job at what they're doing. Also, have a very clear communicative approach to the company's operational alignment as far as AI and automation and how that's going to come into the company. What exactly is it going to do? What exactly you're looking to have in place within, say, the next 3 to 6 months. I think all the stakeholders, no matter if they're at the top of the company or they're just somebody that is in the company that's new, they should be able to at least have some type of understanding the direction in which the company is headed. And so you want to have all the decision makers and all the team members understand the company's policies and positions on AI. So one of the final takeaways that I want you to have from this is just to give you guys a 5-year kind of AI operations report here at SEO Vendor and what we've been able to achieve. First of all, let's look at the improvements. We've been able to improve our productivity by over 4 times, and we're able to measure that based on the amount of output that the team is able to render. We also look at increases in precision. How accurate are the results when we go in and we do a manual audit? How good is the production of the work that is happening? And this is across the board. So this is a mixture of people, AI, automation, and we look at and measure how well are we doing in terms of that precision. But the other thing we also look at is we look at accuracy, and we want to try to reduce errors. Errors means somebody's making a mistake. This is more error prone, or this is likely to have something go wrong. And we've dramatically also improved our error rate, or essentially bringing that number down. The other factor, of course, is cost. As costs are rising across the board for many companies, we found that AI and automation has greatly reduced our costs, which at the end of the day, what it means is that we're also then less likely to pass on those costs onto our clients, which are a lot of white label agencies, marketing companies as well. So we know that if we increase our costs, that also has an impact down the road as well. And overall, if we were to kind of look at operational efficiency, we've measured it. We've been able to measure up to about a 3 times difference in overall operational efficiency in terms of time, resources, and overall our invested assets. We think that definitely AI is not something that's going away, but the more that we are investing in this area, we have definitely seen operational improvements. So I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation on AI operations, and I really hope that it helps you out. If you have any kind of questions, feel free to just reach out to us at any time. we'd be more than happy to talk to you about AI and operations. We are a white label SEO company, so a lot of the operations that we talked about today, we actually implement these, and we've been doing so for at least the last 7 or 8 years or so. So I hope you enjoyed this, and take care, and talk to you again soon.